going to wait a moment or two, and then we'll get started with another lunch and learn minus the lunch. Although I trust you all will have a good lunch afterwards. Somebody asked me if we could possibly arrange for tuna fish remotely, and
maybe we should have a tuna fish like recipe off. Like, what do you put in your tuna fish? I put a little Italian dressing in my tuna fish. I don't know what other people do. So
I like that.
Yeah, next time.
Terry puts some egg white
in.
That's a little more protein.
Yeah.
If we do another one, or even we could even do that today.
You realize how much mayonnaise the delis put in their tuna fish when you make your own tuna fish. That's what I figured.
So, if you care to, just don't want to fill the chat room up with if you have anything interesting, okay, here we go. Janice, green olives and a little juice. Love, nice. Oh yeah, olives. That's great. Lots of lemon. All right. Pickle relish. Lori, we'll be right over.
Yeah. Paul Mesha says, my mom had enough celery, it can make a can of tuna last a week. Ooh.
Yes, celery is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, those are nice. Any other suggestions for tuna fish?
Little mustard and yogurt.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Another carrots, celery, Dijon mustard. Wow. All right. Anybody else put egg in? Okay. Very nice.
I think we're done. I think we've solved everything. So I think
yes, that's it. Little curry powder.
I like curry. Yeah.
From our northern New Jersey friends, the Tischlers. All right. Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. This is another in our Lunch and Learn. Delighted to have a large number of participants. Had wonderful response to the one we had, our last one with Rabbi Yaffe. People are still talking about it. I'm sure will today too. So we hope you're all well and safe. It's 6 weeks approximately till Rabbi Prosnit becomes officially our senior rabbi, though he's doing a lot of things that a senior rabbi would do. So many of you have told me what I already knew, how delighted and pleased you were when you learned that Rabbi Prosnit was going to become our senior rabbi. That's officially July 1. And no secret that I'm thrilled. Great choice, great choice. Installation, I think, I was just asking Ethan, installation, you said will probably be put off till the fall when we can manage it a little more sanely, right? I just want to begin this morning by hoping that all of you on the call will join me in kind of committing to Rabbi Prosnit our support, our love, our dedication to the mission of Temple Emanu-El, to the values of Judaism. I think if you don't know it already, I suspect that all and nearly all of you share his values, and that you'll all join me in a strong commitment to supporting him. For comments, we're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free to offer comments and questions in the chat room as we move along. Good morning, Terry. If you're okay, have a seat over here. Yeah, sure. Go around. Have a seat. And we'll share some chatting and some comments as we move through this. Let's begin. We have some new staffing. You want to share something about who's going to be joining us? It's a pretty exciting team.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I echo Rabbi Kroloff's thoughts. I hope you continue to be safe and healthy. I know that we are, as the weather gets nicer, we're outside more. I hope to see you on some of our walks as a family. But I'm glad that I can join you this morning. And as of July 1, become the next senior rabbi at Temple Emanu-El. I'm thrilled and excited about that. And thrilled that we're starting to create a new team at Temple Emanu-El as well. You saw a notice about a couple of our most recent hires. I'll start with Rabbi Victor Appel. I know some of you already know Rabbi Victor Appel. He's been in the rabbinate for, I think, over 25 to 30 years. He is currently the rabbi at Reform Rabbi at Rutgers Hillel. Prior to that, he served part of the Union for Reform Judaism in the CCAR. He was also a rabbi in Edison and also associate rabbis out in Chicago too. He is currently teaching once a month or every 3 weeks at the Holy Scrollers at 8:15 at the Levy House. I've heard really wonderful things about his teaching. And he's a great guy. He's a true mensch. When the search committee met with him, they were floored away by his personality, his approachability, his ability to really teach and connect with the people on Zoom. I know him, and every interaction that I've had with him has been really just a warm interaction, and I think that he'll bring a lot to our community. He will start July 1 as well. He lives in Metuchen with his husband, and he has a freshman in college and a freshman in high school. And so he'll be integrated into our community. I'm hoping that his youngest son will join us in confirmation next year as well. So I'm really excited, and I know that Rabbi Kroloff knows him. Many of the rabbis know him in this community, as well as people in this on this call, I'm sure, as well. And thrilled for you to get to know him more. I think he's going to bring a lot to our community. He'll be focused on social action, on our caring community, which he's done a lot with as part of the URJ, our congregational learning, and other activities throughout our synagogue. We also are bringing in Samara Schwartz, who's our new Youth Learning and Engagement Director. She's coming from Texas. She's currently in Houston at a large synagogue down there with Rabbi David Lyon. She is the current principal of their religious school, which is a similar size. We're a little bigger, but she has that experience, and she's very enthusiastic. She grew up in Succothsett, New Jersey, and so she's excited to be moving back to New Jersey. Rabbi Sofen was her rabbinic mentor and her rabbi, so excited for her to come back to the Northeast. She is going to be moving to Watchung and brings a lot of excitement. She is a great storyteller. All her references says that she can connect with the story, and I think that's really important. And she's also really good at teaching Talmud. So I'm excited for her to be a part of that and maybe offering some classes, not just for youth learning and engagement, but for our entire congregation. We will welcome her on July 1, probably virtually as well. And that committee was really excited to have her come to our community. And the last one, as you saw, we have a 1-year interim cantor. That's Cantor Anna Ott. She's coming from New Brunswick. She is retiring this year, and she's dedicated just really to the B'nai Mitzvah prep during our time. And so she will be helping Cantor Novik with training of our students. We'll be leading B'nai Mitzvah services. Will be with us for high holidays and other services, but we are filling in that space right now, as we have about 90 bar mitzvahs a year. So we definitely need someone else to help with that. Any questions about any of the new hires?
Looks like the people were more committed to the ingredients for the tuna fish than for the question about the staff, but maybe it's an indication.
And it's a really, and it will be,
staff.
yeah, it's a wonderful staff. And I think that we're bringing in people that have been a part of Jewish communities. And so they know what to do, and perhaps things that have worked really well and are really creative. I'm excited for us to try different things. And I think that both Victor and Samara are going to bring in opportunities to help us think differently about some of our education, perhaps some of our services, as well as our learning together as well.
Okay, so Lisa Mandelblatt, thank you for your excitement for Rabbi Appel. Obviously, you must know her. And then Janice asks, why do we have an interim cantor? And that's a great question.
Yeah, so I just want to thank Lisa Mandelblatt. She was the chair of the search committee for Rabbi Appel, along with Ben Berry, and she was an incredible search committee. If you have any questions about Rabbi Appel, please ask Lisa or Ben Berry or anyone on that committee. They did an incredible job, and we had top candidates, and it was a difficult decision, but the committee really was excited about Lisa. Why the interim cantor? So good question. It was a little bit about timing, and we want the best candidates, and we want the best person for our team. By the time we had the opportunity, by the time Cantor Rubel decided to go to Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is my home congregation. It's a wonderful congregation. It's a congregation I grew up in for many years, and it's an exciting place, and I'm excited for Cantor Rubel. We didn't have the opportunity to really do a full search. Many of the cantors right out of Hebrew Union College had already been placed. We reached out to them. The ones that were available were not the right fit for our congregation. And so we decided that an interim cantor, an adjunct cantor for a year would help us through this transition, and also think about the future of our music in the future as well.
Do you want to say a word, full transparency, just word about why this is part-time rather than full-time, and how you see that playing out?
Yeah, I think that we are also cognizant of the changing world that we're living in, and we know that financially it's a hard time for our congregation, as well as many people in our congregation and the rest of our community. And so we're looking at our needs, and our strongest need at this moment is the B'nai Mitzvah training. Cantor Novik is still here, and Cantor Novik will be leading services. And we felt that this was a place that if we need to have some financial savings, we could. We will still have a lot what Cantor Rubel did. Was in the part of the preschool, and so we're finding someone else to do the preschool part. We're finding someone else to continue our family Shabbats. We already are lining up some song leaders for that, which will be exciting. But we felt that at this time we might need to be financially responsible at that moment too.
And then we have a related question to timing. Does that mean we'll need to hire 2 new cantors next year? Can Cantor outstay?
Yeah, we're not sure. So right, we might. Cantor Arts has been very flexible with us, and we'll see how that works. And we're open. We're not 100% sure. And so I ask you to. We're going to have to think about our music differently as well. And I know that Cantor Novik and I are this year. Hopefully we'll get to celebrate, but we'll also have to continue to think about where we are going to move musically in part of our congregation, and that will be a big conversation that we're going to be having in the next year. What type of music do we want? What do we want our music program to be? And I'll just share that I would love to see children's choir. I would love to see a teen choir. I would love to really develop opportunities for a congregational band to be part of it. I think there's a really.
I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah, there are talented people, and while I love Shabbat Hallelujah, we could have some more opportunity for people to play with us on Shabbat, high holidays, as well as services. Susan Schumann said an intergenerational choir. I think those are ways that we need to start thinking about our congregation music program differently. And I think that's part of the conversations that we're going to have together. I'm sure we're going to be sitting down and having those conversations. And where do we want to take music? What type of music do we want as a congregation? What type of new things do we want to try? That might not work, but I think that's exciting. The nice thing about just COVID-19 is that I've gotten to go to many more services, or I've gotten to watch more services after, and like, oh, that's a really great thing that this congregation's doing. Perhaps I want to bring it here. Like, oh, I don't think that's the greatest thing that they just did. I don't think I'm going to do that. But that's been the opportunity to see for Tot Shabbats and everything like that. How can we bring in some different things from different congregations?
Right, and other comments have noted that we used to have a junior choir. For many years we had junior choir. I'm sure that's going to be part of the mix. An intergenerational choir has been mentioned. And if Kol Neshama takes place, who might lead it? Those are staffing issues that you're going to figure out.
Yeah, and I think that goes to the high holidays a little bit too. I don't know if you want to jump there again, but
let's segue to that, because we don't want to spend the whole time obviously on virus issues, but it's related. So the ongoing impact of the virus on summer, high holidays, and I know that this is in flux, and you don't have any big answers for us yet because trying to figure it out. But share what you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, definitely. We had our first task force meeting with people about opening up Temple Emanu-El. And so we have Larry Budnick as well as Andy Fleisch, who are medical professionals who do this for a living, to help us kind of think about Temple Emanu-El and what does it look like when we can open up. So we just had a task force, and we are going to open up gradually. Like we close gradually and then we close completely. We will open up gradually. Working with Mike and other members of our board and other lay leaders, and Alice, our interim executive director, we're thinking about how do we make sure that we are a safe place that people can come. And so what that will look like in the future is not, in the beginning, a huge opening of our doors. We will be limiting the number of people into the building. And this is even before we open up for services. We are thinking deeply about our childcare wing, and what does it look like for preschools. And Jill's been doing a wonderful job kind of doing different scenarios, and we don't know. But we're going to try to be creative. So we have a task force that will help us think about that, and how we open our building, how we start praying again together. I envision us perhaps doing a little bit more outside this summer, where we can gather 6 feet apart, a picnic style maybe. And this is all, I don't know. The governor has not said that we can gather yet. He said that we can gather in cars and do services like drive-in movie style. I don't know if that's something that people are interested in, but you can let us know. But thinking once we're following the governor's rules as well as the CDC rules about how many people can you gather. And that's with the high holidays as well. The high holidays, I know, will look different than they have in the past. We are not going to be able to gather 1,000 people in our sanctuary. And I don't think people would want to gather 1,000 people in our sanctuary. And so we are thinking critically of what that will look like. I know that every service that we will do, our plan is to live stream it, because there will be people in our community that do not feel comfortable coming into our building at this moment. And I understand that. And so we're going to hire people to really do our tech for it. It won't be like Zoom. It will be a little bit more professional. So you feel like there's a part that you are there, maybe. But that will be something that we will do for Shabbat services as well as the high holidays. Our high holidays, I would love to offer everything that we have always offered, but we need to also think, can we do that? And can we do that in a safe way? Can we open up our building? These are the questions we ask. Can we open, if we can fit 1,000 people in our sanctuary in Greifer Sachs, can we have 250 people there in a healthy and realistic way? I'm not sure. Those are the questions that we're beginning to ask. Can we do services outside? I don't know. But those are the conversations that we are having, and how can we be creative, and how can we make sure that the most important, people are safe and are feel comfortable coming into our building.
Thank you. That's clearly where, I mean, the whole world is trying to figure out what happens tomorrow and next week.
Right. Yeah. But, like, so for instance, we have we have a siddur. Like, do we take out all the siddurim in our sanctuary and only do virtual tefillah, or give like what we do sometimes in the outside Shabbat, pieces of paper with all the prayers, and then you toss it like people are doing for menus? I think that's something that we need to think about. And if you have ideas, I would love to hear them. We can't do what we have done in the past. And I know that's provided comfort for a lot of people. But I hope that people understand that we're trying, whatever we're doing, we're trying to make sure that we are as safe as possible. And
for what it's worth, I'm sure everybody understands that this is what every synagogue in the United States is going through at this time. Nobody is immune from it.
And because we're bigger, like, that's another challenge for us. Because we are a large congregation, it's a little harder than the smaller congregations in other states, and we're the epicenter of this virus, unfortunately, as well. So we have to think differently about it.
Correct. Related to that, my neighbor Lauren Gruber just says, "So smart, Ethan. Love that you're watching and learning best practices from other temples." I just comment that when over the years, I certainly realized that with commitments every Shabbat, it is very difficult to be in other synagogues. As soon as I retired, I recognized that I started going elsewhere for a while and seeing other services before streaming. And I realized a lot of wonderful things to learn. And one of the terrific things I love about your leadership, Ethan, is that you are so open to learning from.
And I hope people are open as well, right? I said in my interview, and I might have said this at other times, I hope people are okay with us failing a little bit. We'll learn from our mistakes, but are we ready to take risks and try something a little different? And I hope people will say yes. And I think this congregation is, and I thank you for that.
Hear, hear. And Dina and Lou just note that screens projecting for services. Some congregations have been doing that, especially in the large sanctuaries where you don't see the pulpit that easily. Screens, I'm sure you're thinking about.
Definitely.
Strong, and that's very, very much so. So let's move on beyond the coming months and year to thinking 3 to 5 years, if that's possible. Reimagining temple life. I know you've been thinking about that, talking to people. Your vision for our congregation going forward in any area that you feel you're comfortable talking about today.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit more concrete than I was when I was with Terry Class, who was the incoming president, and when we had a conversation with Rabbi Miller as well. If you haven't watched that, it's on our website, and we talked a little bit more theoretical, some of the things that we're hoping for. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more specific, and none of these are set, and we're still exploring different ideas, but I do want people to know that that's still available online. So part of our vision is relational, and that's what you heard Terry and I talk about a lot. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that people feel connected to the temple, but also to the people at the temple? And how do we make sure that people find a home here? So I know for me, one way is through small groups. And I look at this list and I see many of you are a part of Chavaraz, and some of them are still continuing, which is really amazing, and some of them have not continued. But when you moved here, many of the first things you did was sign up for Temple Emanu-El, and then were put into a Havurah, which I think is a wonderful thing. We've tried that again, but it's not working as much. And so many congregations, many Reformed congregations in North America are creating small groups of meaning. So this is a group of individuals connected to the synagogue who come together around a specific topic. And I shared this a little bit a couple weeks ago. And so that could be around a book, or that could be around cooking, or that could be around social justice or political action. That could be around Jewish parenting. And so, but it's all lay-led. And so each individual, there's a curriculum, and there's a staff member from the temple that helps develop this Jewish curriculum. And there's kind of a brit, a covenant between this group saying, we are going to meet once a month for 1 year only. And if it's really great, maybe they'll continue. But we are going to dedicate ourselves to connecting with each other. And you don't do it at a temple, you do it at people's homes. So very similar to Chavarah, but there's a start point and an end point. Sometimes Chavarahs, when they go, it's great, but sometimes it just hasn't worked. But you are committing to this 10-person group or a couples group or something like that around a topic that you're passionate about. And then there's one leader who kind of organizes everything with the support of Temple Emanu-El, but it's a way to kind of deepen relationships and deepen meaning in our Jewish tradition as well. So that's something that I hope that we can kind of start unrolling. I think it will start small, but hopefully get bigger and bigger with different groups of meaning happening throughout our community. So that's a relational aspect that I hope that we can continue with. The other thing I would like to also focus on our empty nesters. We used to have different areas of groups, from Renaissance to Friendship to Links. Those no longer are a part of our community, but how do we also create opportunities for people to gather perhaps around what's happening in their lives, both socially, both spiritually, and also ability to learn together and pray together as well. So thinking about how that could be more successful. I think the idea I'm looking into, thinking about our services a little differently, and also in general our learning a little differently. I would love it to be a little bit more participatory. I've said this as well, but I want people to feel like the Bima, while the Bima is where Rabbi Kroloff and I and Cantor Novick and our other clergy lead from. I want people to feel comfortable on that Bima as well. Sharing things, deepening, maybe it's reading Torah more, maybe it's helping us lead services, maybe it's sharing a poem or a memory of something. I want to make sure that people feel connected to that way, as well as Shabbat services. I think we need to program Shabbat services a little differently, inviting people to come to services to see what we're doing, and then having a certain program after it or before it to make sure that people feel connected to the temple that way. Something I shared was a Shleimut center, a wellness center. The center is, I envision the Levi house as this. People are looking for, this is a chaotic world, and people are looking for meaning. And what would it look like if you go to the Levi house? And this is dreaming a little bit. And there's someone there who's a spiritual advisor who you sit down with on a one-on-one conversation, and maybe it's once a month, and it's not a therapist, but it's someone to help you think about God differently or spirituality differently. And while I love to have those conversations, I know that I'm first not trained to be a spiritual advisor. I can have conversations about God and Judaism with individuals, but also how do we, but there are rabbis and other people who are trained specifically to dig deep into your own sense of God or divine. And maybe at this Shleimut Center, we have a mindfulness retreat, or the opportunity to really connect with each other. How do you feel more whole during this time? Not just this COVID-19 time, but in our lives. So those are some of the ideas I would love to bring up. Also the idea of retreats and trips. I said it before, we need to get back to Israel. I think that's when people feel connected to each other in the congregation, when you travel together. We haven't done that in a really long time. I was disappointed that we had to cancel our civil rights trip this past year. We had a lot of people joining that for that.
Wonderful group.
Wonderful group. It will be, we we have planned it again from May of next year, hoping that we can even increase the number of participants in the coming year. But I think when people travel together or go on a retreat or even do a small little trip to the Jewish Museum in New York or see a play, we can think creatively to kind of connect with people.
Those are absolutely terrific ideas. Before we lose it, I want to just jump in. Lisa asked about Temple Sha'arei Shalom in Springfield, since they will be.
Yeah, and I feel for the current.
Everybody may not know. I just say that they are going to be ceasing operation. I guess the end of June. You want to comment on that? You wondered whether we're doing any outreach to members.
So Temple Sha'arei Shalom, I feel for that congregation. It's gone through a lot, and they are closing the doors, and it's very hard. We, of course, will welcome any member of Temple Sha'arei Shalom into our congregation, and we will, of course, reach out to them. It's not the time for us right now. They are mourning a loss of a synagogue that they've grown up in and have felt love for, and so. I know I would be happy if you know people at that synagogue. I would be very happy to sit down with them or connect people with and say, we're excited about what's happening at Temple Emanu-El. Do you want to be a part of it? And you know what? Let's think creatively. Maybe just try it out with us. Come to services, come to learning with us. See what our clergy are offering. Is this the place that you feel comfortable? Geographically, it makes sense for many people. But if you're on the other side of Springfield, maybe going to another congregation in Summit might make more sense to you. But I think what we can do is we can reach out to some of those members saying, come to services with me and check it out when we can be back in our building, or be a part of this community. I really love it. And and there's exciting changes happening here, and you can be part of that change as well. The clergy just can't be the only ones reaching out to Sha'arei Shalom in Springfield. We need your help if that's what you want to do as well.
That's great. And if people want to talk to you further about that, they certainly welcome you, Terry Class, or others. I'll just say that it's a congregation that has made a tremendous impact in its community. Their rabbis have been significant movers and leaders, right? And we're sorry for the loss of any synagogue.
Yeah, definitely. I've talked to I've talked to some of the congregants already, and they're mourning, and they're in a period of mourning right now, and that's unfortunate with some of the other synagogues in our area as well. Some of the conservative synagogues are struggling as well. To find people and to understand what are their next steps. They are planning their future too, and they're deciding what they can or can't do.
And we want to be you want to be there for them in any way. One of the things I love about Rabbi Prosnit's leadership, there are a lot, but one of them I love is that you're not a competitive person. You're not. This is not about competition with any other synagogue. You're very much into partnerships and into collaboration.
Yeah, and I think that's what I want us to be for. Like, I want to be a stronger partner with the JCC. I want to be a stronger partner with JFS of Central New Jersey. I want to be a stronger partner with Jewish Family Services. Jewish Federation. Because if we are the stronger they are, the stronger we are. That's my belief. We need to partner differently, and we need to think creatively. We've already had conversations with members of the JCC to think, how can we partner? What does membership look like together? Let's think big. Let's think about the new world that we are living in. And I always say, the people in leadership that are members of the JCC, who are members of the JCC or on the board of the JCC or the board of Federation or the board of JFS are the type of leaders that I want as well. That means they understand and are committed to the larger Jewish continuity. And so let's think about partnering. And we've already started that with JFS of Central New Jersey. Our hope next year is that our 7th and 8th grade program, our Mitzvah Corps program, will be dedicated to JFS, where our teens will be volunteering there each month together and really understanding what JFS is doing. The JCC, can we partner with our learning more? Can we do our senior programs together? What are some of the things that we can envision, and also with the help of Federation?
You were honored, you and your wife Ariel were honored in November by JFS.
Yeah, that was more Ariel. That's a great organization, and they're doing a really important work at this moment. And so we were thinking, like, so for one example, we were thinking, we know there are members of our congregation that have already lost their jobs, or are looking to, or trying to figure out how to start networking during this time. We can do that, but we should work with JFS because they have the skills, and that's where kind of they are working to help people get back on their feet during this challenging time. So why reinvent the wheel when we can partner? And so you'll see some of the things coming up in our e-blasts are supporting and promoting their work as well.
That's great. And just going back to mindfulness and shlemut, wholeness, Janice Kessler notes that Diane Hanlon, her husband, are licensed mindfulness trainers, members of our temple. Those are the kind of resources that you would like to enlist, right? And to recruit.
Yeah, I just wrote it down.
Right. And the Lady House is a marvelous venue for that kind of experience. So we're very blessed. And Lady House has been used well. It can be used even better. And even, if you have thoughts about Lady House that you want to include on chat, share that as well.
Yeah, and I mentioned like how cool it would be to have a mikvah there. I don't know if that's not in this year, but like it's a perfect space to like, oh, we're gonna create an opportunity for rituals, and that's kind of also what I envision in learning as well. I love ritualizing moments and time, and marking time in both a holiday cycle, but also in our learning cycle as well. That's why one of my most favorite things to do at Temple Emanu-El is to teach our adult B'nai Mitzvah class, as well as our adult confirmation class, which we taught a couple of years ago, because it's a moment to really say, this is what I've done, and this is how I'm feeling, and I'm showing the rest of the congregation what I can do. We were supposed to have our adult B'nai Mitzvah class. We have 6 adult B'nai Mitzvahs. They were supposed to do it this past Friday. We postponed it to next year. But those are, I want to think about how do we mark those moments, and how do we celebrate those moments? How do we say, you've been a member for 36 years, let's celebrate you. Right? You just turned 70, wonderful. 70 is a big number in our Jewish tradition. Why don't you give a sermon on a Saturday morning? This is the anniversary of your bar or bat mitzvah, wonderful. Why don't you read Torah? Why don't you give a drash? Like, those are the things that I want to make sure that people feel invested in. It's not I don't want it to be just transactionary. I want people to say, this is what I want to do. I want to mark this moment in my life. I want to build a sense of belonging more than perhaps we have in the past. And that's for all ages, not just, that's throughout all of our congregation.
That's great. Elaine, I'd love to participate in an adult bar mitzvah class. I'll need tutoring.
Of course.
We all need tutoring in something, right?
Yeah.
You see adult confirmation also on the horizon? Do you think that'll?
Yeah, I think that's an opportunity. We had about 15 or 14 people 2 years ago. We usually rotate. We need a group of people, right? So the adult B'nai Mitzvah, we have 6 people this year, which has been a 2-year study. So I think the adult confirmation could be another program in the future as well. Yes.
As long as we're speaking of confirmation, I want to note that you mentioned it the other day that we have 34 confirmands. So they'll have a virtual confirmation. When is that happening?
Yeah, so it's May 29th. That's a Friday night, and then we'll do something in the fall as well. They'll be leading services. There's 34 confirmands. They'll lead services on that Friday to celebrate them.
So believe it or not, folks, or maybe it's not that hard to believe, This is one of the largest confirmation classes in North America. I'll say that again. It's one of the largest confirmation classes in North America. We used to have 60, 70. There were confirmation classes of 100. That's a thing of the past throughout America. But 34 is a big number, and it is a tribute. It really is a tribute to our school, our learning program, to you, and to Cantor Novick, I think, has been part of that too.
And to these families, they say this is important for us. This is
the families, yeah, the parents, right, who have and the students who have been committed to this. It takes a village, right?
Yes, 100%.
So kol hakavod, congratulations on that. I mean, it's not just a matter of numbers, but it is heartening to know that we have such a large cohort who stayed with us through the 10th grade, and great things to come.
Right, and we have, and just another note, we have over 80 madrachim, guides in our religious school on Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So those are high school students that feel connected. We have, I think we have like 25 students this year in the 10th and 11th and 12th grade program for Cafe Torah, which meets at the diner twice a month to sit down and study with clergy and staff. So we are still remaining connected with our post-B'nai Mitzvah students. We can always, of course, continue to do a better job and think differently about it. We've started to do that already, but we should be proud of that.
Who do the 11th and 12th graders meet with at the diner?
We rotate the clergy and staff. So
there's a Westfield diner in that room. You have that room in the
exactly.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, with the youth learning engagement staff and the clergy have been teaching this past year.
Great. And you'll figure out a way of doing that this coming year.
We've continued it online. They don't get the food, they don't get the French fries or milkshakes, but we've continued that, and we will continue that as well next year if we can't do it.
That's terrific. Let's move on to social justice. This is an area that's been a focus for yours since coming to Temple Emanu-El and well before. It's a passion, I think, for you, and it's Tikkun Olam is a passion for Reform Judaism. But it's changing, both how we do it and what we're focused on. And I'd be interested, and I'm sure everybody on the call be interested in your thoughts in this area.
Yeah. And this is probably one of the harder parts of my becoming a senior rabbi, is that it's something that I will be giving up, directly working with the Tikkun Olam committee, which has done great things in the past 6 years, and realize that Rabbi Appel, who is also a social justice hero, will be continuing this work, and I will always continue to support it and be deeply committed, but on a day-to-day level, I know that this is something that I will have to step back from a little bit.
I mentioned that, and I believe NBC News picked up our.
Yeah, right. So we saw that.
That was quite something. Yeah,
it was really cool. The Westfield Fun Club, the refugee program that Jenny Tenenbaum and Alyssa Berger have been working on, was picked up. They're serving over 100 families now during this crisis, refugee families, which has been amazing. It was on the NBC News, New York News. We're going to be highlighting that in our e-blast that comes out this afternoon. That was this Friday, I think, this past Friday.
We'll be able to see the clip. There'll be a link.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see the clip, and that'll come out this afternoon.
Yes.
That'll be nice.
So we'll continue our work with our refugees. That's an important part. The Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, as well as the Union for Reform Judaism, is having a kickoff of civic engagement campaign. This was big 2 years ago, and we were a community that they really highlighted of creating different opportunities for people to get involved in civic engagement. We registered a lot of people to vote, and we will be doing that again. We have to think about how do we do that differently. We committed to being 100% voting congregation, and we will commit to that as well. We're probably going to do a kickoff around civic engagement in June, Carol Cohen has connected us with a speaker that we used in the past, the Union County Clerk, to really talk about voting by mail as well as voting security. But we'll think about how do we make sure that everyone has the opportunity to vote and gets the right to vote. We've been also focused on the environment this past year. We'll continue that work. And I'm not sure what the next social justice program or initiative will be. That will be up to some of the people on that team. And it's run currently by Elaine Morgenthau, David Burke, and Daniela Shevitz. And so we will think about what's next. There are many issues, unfortunately, in our world. And I think something about COVID-19 has highlighted to me the great inequalities in our country. And I knew that. We all knew that there were great inequalities and disparities within our world. But how can we use this after the COVID-19 crisis? How can we make changes so that people are protected, that our state is as just and as fair as possible? Just one thing I'll share. So some of you may know that I've been the co-chair of Reform Jewish Voice of New Jersey. Reform Jewish Voice of New Jersey is an lay-led organization connected to the Religious Action Center in Washington, D.C. But we are focused on state work, state legislation, to help make our state as just, as fair as possible. This past year, we've been working very hard to find to get money to support a full-time organizer, and we found that money. And now we are transforming into RAC New Jersey, so the Religious Action Center of New Jersey. And so the idea is that we have a full-time organizer that will help bring the 46 Reform congregations in the state of New Jersey together to create big action. And so this past year, one of the things we focused on was voting rights for all, on those who are on probation and parole, to have them the ability to vote again. And we were able to pass that. We were able to help pass driver's licenses for all as well. And then some environmental initiatives, including making sure New Jersey Transit has a stronger infrastructure, environmental infrastructure. And so I hope that our synagogue continues to be part of RAC New Jersey moving forward. And I know they're looking at criminal justice issues, other environmental issues, and so we can be a partner. So it's not just our synagogue, but a larger, but we are part of the reform movement of New Jersey, making change. And I think we're able to make change because we have really strong relationships with both our federal elected officials as well as our state elected officials. And so building on our relationships with them, hopefully we can help encourage them to think differently.
Will you be able to continue as co-chair of New Jersey?
I think we'll be, we're in discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Because we have a full-time organizer, a lot of that, the leadership team is going to probably change a little bit differently. I will still be a part of it. I know that for sure. But the whole structure is changing, and we're just figuring out what we can do. And Elaine Morgenthau just also highlighted, thank you, Elaine, that we are also a signature synagogue with the Anti-Defamation League. And so we will continue that work. Some of it has been postponed because of COVID-19, but we've been really focused on anti-Semitism. We have a program this Thursday with the Simon Wiesenthal Center about anti-Semitism during COVID-19. And so we'll be highlighting some of those things, and we'll be continuing that work and making sure that our towns are as tolerant and accepting as possible. And I've already had those conversations with the mayor, as well as the superintendent, and building those relationships, because unfortunately we know anti-Semitism is still here, and when we're back at school, there are going to still be incidences in our towns and in our schools, and how can we address that in a proper and strategic way as well.
As most of you know on the call, we have a very close special relationship with Mary Shelley Brindle. And when she was on Lunch and Learn last month, she had some wonderful things to say about Rabbi Prosnit, how pleased she was that he was chosen. I think we informed her of it on the call, and she was very pleased. What does it mean to be a signature temple with the Anti-Defamation League?
Yeah, it's a new program that they are running. That we have their resources that they'll provide speakers to us throughout the year. That we have a special delegation at their conferences in the city, which I think are postponed, unfortunately, this upcoming year. But it gives us access to the ADL. We have a point person, so if there's ever an incident, we can speak to that person right away and help support the work that they are doing.
Good. So we have a few more minutes. I have one more question for Rabbi Prosnit, but if you have any comments or further questions, fire away on the chat room. We've got a little bit of time. We'd love to hear from you. I'd like to ask you. This is unfair because if there were one thing that members of the temple could do to be supportive of the temple in general and of you personally as you move forward in these coming weeks to the leadership, what might that be? I say it's unfair because just single out one, but it's also fun to think about that.
Yeah. Well, financially, you can be supportive, right? So obviously, that's a big issue that we're thinking about, and we're going to be creative as well.
This was not.
That's not planned, and I know that's not exactly what you're looking for as well. But if you love the congregation and you can financially support us in the work that we are doing, and you think that this vision is exciting for you, or if you think that there's a program that you want to support, we'd love to talk to you about that. That's really important to us, and we are concerned. But we are being responsible during this time. We don't know what's going to happen, and you'll be hearing more about that in the coming weeks about some of our budget and fundraising as well. But I think I want people to fully get their hands dirty with me. I want you to feel that I want to be a part of this, and I want to help lead, and I want to volunteer. And I don't just want to, I want people to be invested. And I've heard, though, that we don't always know what to do with people, all right? We don't know, it's sometimes hard for me to get involved. And I want to kind of help start to change that. I want to help you, I want to help our congregation by the passions that you have, bring them to the temple and say, this is what I'm passionate about. I want to be a part of this. I want to be on our membership committee. I want to be helping re-envision music. I want to help us with our social justice work. I want to try out this new initiative that I heard at this congregation. But it's not just saying, why don't you do it? So this is a great idea. This is a great program. You can do that yourself. That's great. I don't think it will get done, unfortunately, without a little bit of the sweat from our congregants. We can only do a certain amount. And so what I'm asking is to say, I'm ready to get my hands a little dirty. I'm ready to give my time. I'm ready to give my money. I'm ready to give my energy to create something new at Temple Emanu-El. I would love to see more initiative and more involvement in some of our synagogues. And I see many of you on this list who already do that, and I thank you 100%. But how can we feel more invested together? It's a really key part of what my rabbinate and I hope the future of Temple Emanu-El is all about too.
Right. That's beautiful and inspiring. You're right. Many of the people on this call are already very much involved. One thing that I think we can do to support you and to support synagogue is to identify one other person or one other family, be an individual or a family, and reach out to them and say, I've derived so much from my relationship with the synagogue and my engagement. I'd like to help you tiptoe in, even if it's not with both feet, but tiptoe in and into the waters, and to experience some of the joy that I've experienced.
Right. And also, right there, and I know there's also other people that have left the congregation. And I'm sure many of you are friendly still with them and say, you know what, why don't you just come with me and try something out? I think that you will be I want you to be a part of this community with me. This is an important part of my community. Do you want to come back with me? I think that's always helpful.
That is. It's clear that we're on the verge. We're not only on the verge, we're already into the period of new and exciting things. And even with the limitations that the virus have imposed upon us, but also the opportunities imposed upon us, we're going forward. It's a new and exciting place, and it's written all over the synagogue and all over the screen. So we're thrilled about that. Coming up in the next week or two, any you want to call attention to?
Yeah. So the Simon Wiesenthal program this Thursday. Of course, Shabbat services. It's Memorial Day weekend, so it's a little quieter this coming week.
We'll be around. We'll be around.
We'll be around. You're right. Simchat Shabbat on Saturday. Shabbat services on Friday. We've been doing a lot of virtual B'nai Mitzvahs, actually, so they've been really wonderful. A couple of upcoming things. I've talked a little bit about the voting rights. The vote by mail program that will be coming up. The big thing next week is Shavuot, the holiday of Shavuot. We initiated a Tikkun Leil Shavuot throughout Union County with some of the other conservative synagogues and the Reform Synagogue in Scotch Plains, CBI, Temple Shalom, the synagogue in Cranford. So we'll be praying together like we do for Slichot. This year we'll be doing it virtually, and then members of the clergy from each of the congregations will be teaching about a 30-minute session. Rabbi Kroloff will be teaching about Heschel. I'll be teaching about the poems of Yehuda Amichai, the Israeli poets. And so we'll start next Thursday at 7:30 with a service led by Cantor Novick, as well as Rabbi Howard Tillman from CBI, and then Rabbi Miller, Cantor Rubo, and I, and everyone, Rabbi Kroloff, and other teachers will be teaching up to late. So you can join us on Zoom for that. That's exciting, something different that we hope to continue. You'll see more information about that in the coming weeks. There'll probably be a cheesecake making class and other classes as well to be a part of. But if there are other things that you're hoping for us to do via Zoom, please let us know. We would love for you to be a part of that.
That's great. And Shavuot again is a week from
Thursday
evening, right? We have a couple of comments here. Let's from Lucille Rosenberg. Our temple finances are not transparent. Once a year report is very high level. We as a congregation, we should have more financial transparency to move us to participate beyond the unusual. Beyond the usual. This is a little bit more for lay leadership, but do you want to say anything about financial?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a lay leadership conversation as well. Have a conversation, Terry Klass and our incoming president, and I know Mark Epstein might be on this as well. I think these are the conversations that we need to have and be able to share some of your thoughts with them and have that conversation.
Absolutely. So Lucille or others, reach out directly to Terry. She is a great listener, as she said the other day on the webinar.
Right.
Yeah. Janice, have an outdoor meeting with a small group and set up socially distant chairs to discuss a topic.
Yeah, so I think that's something, right? That's something we're thinking about, right? I do believe that, and some people are more comfortable with other things as well. So we also need to realize that some people may not feel comfortable with a chair 6 feet apart, but they still want to be a part of the temple. But I think we will be moving into that way. We will be opening the opportunity to slowly open and have services, have conversations outside. I think what we heard from our public health members of our task force who are temple members is it's safer outside than inside right now. But you still need to be socially distant. What will it look like if I'm wearing a mask during services? I think that's something we need to start thinking about. Can we sing with a mask on? And so those are ideas that we would, I think, are beginning to have conversations about, right? Limiting the number of people at a service, limiting the number of people at a study, praying together, doing something. I think I started thinking about the high holy days. It's a powerful thing to hear a shofar blast. Perhaps we say these are the meetups of different shofar blasts throughout Westfield and Scotch Plains and Mountainside and Cranford. Come hear the shofar blast at this moment, on this time, stand far apart. But I think that those are things that we are thinking about, how we can address this current moment.
We might, with the shofar, we might all show up, temple standing 10, 15.
Yeah, you're right. There's a whole study about how much, yes.
Right.
So.
Right. That's good. Following up on Lucille's, what about, in addition to socially distant groups for a topic, say behind the Lady House, how about a Zoom call or a series of Zoom calls that would be limited to 8 or 10 people during the summer, because we're going to have some time on our hands, I think, during the summer. A Zoom call, 8 or 10 people around a topic, open mic, because it's be limited numbers, and those could be set up around common interests. Is that a possibility?
A great possibility. I think that would be a interesting way to do it. I think that would be wonderful, right? It's hard to have a lot of people on Zoom, but if you can limit the number of people, I think that would be great. Or it's a study group, right? Or we can say 8 people to read this book, and then we will study this together. I like that idea a lot.
Again, if you're interested, they should reach out to you. Is there anybody else they should reach out to? Do you want to reach other persons?
Yeah, reach out to send me. You could send me an email. I might send it to Jackie Grescott, who's on right now, and we can figure out what that would look like. If you want to lead one of those groups, I think that would be really great. If you have a topic or something that you can do, I know Hannah Lieberman has led origami for us, and that has been a really nice hit. It's been about 5 to 7 people on each time. Other people have led different programs. We had, and so if that's something you're interested in, I think that would be great. So we said that we're also going to create opportunities for you to share ideas with us. We're working on parlor meetings. I would have loved it to be in people's homes. It will probably be on Zoom during this time, with the opportunity for you to share and meet. I had the opportunity to continue to share. I'll be doing that with the preschool families. I will be doing that with the younger YLE families, have those conversations. We're probably gonna do a geographically based ones as well, so we can hear concerns, but also hopes and dreams of Temple Emanu-El.
That's great. Lucille, you're active here. New and exciting has its place in reform. In these insecure times, we need our roots to be strong, and old traditions, I think you mean, give us comfort. A Zoom sing-along with memorable Jewish tunes and prayers might be a fun thing as well. So yes, combination of the old and the new, right?
Yeah, that's the balance, right? So, and I think that's the conversation we need to have, right? There are tunes that when I hear, connect me to this moment and connect me to this place, and I find a lot of comfort in it. And we will continue to do that. I think COVID-19 has also made us think differently about what it looks like for young families to be a part of a synagogue. To be honest, while demographics are strong, I think people are moving. My friend, Ariel and I just had a friend said, we're leaving the city, we're just gonna buy a house in Westfield. They never thought about that. They were never gonna do that, but they decided to buy a house now. And Ariel and I are looking for houses as well. So the housing market seems like to be a hot spot because people are moving to the suburbs because they need to get out of the city. But why would you join a synagogue right now if we're only offering Zoom moments? So we have to think critically about like what do we offer as a temple to attract the next group of people who will be longtime members of Temple Emanu-El. And so that is, Lucille's absolutely correct. We need to balance our tradition, but also with excitement. And I think we can do both. I really do believe that we can do both as well. There was a question about sisterhood and brotherhood. Sisterhood and Men's Club, what do you see the role for Sisterhood and Men's Club in our congregation? And I believe they are critical in our congregation. And I would love to, and they have been critical and they will continue to be critical in the development of our future. And how can we partner more together, right? Sometimes the Sisterhood and Men's Club might feel siloed. How do we make sure that what they are doing is part of our Temple Emanu-El vision? I would love for the Sisterhood to say, well, yeah, I want to do this program on Zoom. While we can invite all Sisterhood members, maybe we can open it up. They're always open up to the larger temple community. Let's do that, or Men's Club as well. How can we always partner together? And if you have questions, and I will sit down with the new Sisterhood president as well as the new Men's Club president to really have these conversations too.
There are many congregations that have lost their Men's Club and Sisterhood, as you know. And we are very fortunate that both organizations have not only survived, but depending upon the years, more or less have been thriving. And it's a great resource.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know you're committed to working with the leadership to find new ways of helping Men's Club and Sisterhood be relevant and attractive. And it's a very strong tradition here, and we're fortunate. We're very fortunate we have that. So any final words? This is your webinar. Just in terms of future, I just want to say one other thing before that, to give you a chance to think, and that is that we don't have another Lunch and Learn date scheduled at the moment, but I do hope to have one or two in the coming weeks, and just watch the e-blasts for that. But between now and the end of June, I'm hoping that we'll have at least one and perhaps two. If there's a subject that you would like for us to cover, let me know personally or include it in the chat right now. Speaking of contacts, I think you all know that Rabbi Prosnit can be reached at, what's the best, eProsnit at tewnj.org, right?
Yeah, right. Yep.
At tewnj.org. And I am RAVCAK at AOL.com. I'm probably the only person still using AOL in the whole world. Final thought. Thanks to all for being with us.
Yeah.
I thought it was a wonderful discussion. Thanks to you for discussion today, Ethan, and for what you've done for us for the past 6 years, and most especially the promise of the future. Some final thoughts.
Yeah, so thank you, Rabbi Kroloff. I'm excited to continue what you have built here, and your support has been tremendous for me over the past 6 years, and I know I can count on you for the future as well. We are very lucky to have you here and be a part of this community. And every time I say that, oh, I'll be the next senior rabbi at Temple Emanu-El, people always mention Rabbi Kroloff. So I am excited about that and have you as a partner.
I am excited for your being our senior rabbi, for being my rabbi. I've said before, you're my rabbi. You are our rabbi.
Thank you. And just thank you for all of you. I want to make sure that my door is always open, and that I can't do this. This is not I can't do this alone. We have a great clergy team that we are creating. We have a great professional staff. The most important part is the community people, the community leaders, and I need all of your help to really continue the strong, rich tradition of Temple Emanu-El. So I ask you for your support. I ask you for your patience. I ask you to help me and help Temple Emanu-El continue to move for 70 more years for a strong future, which I know we can have. So thank you for spending lunch with me or pre-lunch. I look forward to your tuna fish recipes and look forward to the day when we can all be together carrying out this vision. So thank you. Be well, be safe, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Good. Everybody be well, be safe, and watch for future lunch and learns. Thanks again, Ethan, and to all of you. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and good health to you and your family, friends, and to all.
Thank you.